The house was quiet in that deep, unnatural way it only gets on Christmas night, when the laughter has faded, the wrapping paper is folded away, and the tree lights glow like they're guarding secrets. I remember standing there, staring at the last gift under the tree, the one no one had claimed. It wasn't wrapped like the others. No bright paper. No tag with a familiar name. Just a plain box, sitting slightly apart, as if it didn't belong. At first, I told myself it was nothing, maybe a forgotten present, maybe something misplaced in the excitement of the night. But there was a heaviness in my chest I couldn't explain, a quiet warning that whispered this gift was different. This wasn't joy waiting to be opened. This was something else. Something that had been left for a reason. Christmas is supposed to be about warmth, about family pulled close by tradition and love. That night, we had done everything right. The dinner, the laughter, the old stories retold for the 100th time. We hugged, we smiled, we promised to stay connected in the year ahead. And yet, as everyone went to bed and the house settled into silence, that box stayed behind, like it was watching me. The tree lights flickered softly, casting long shadows across the floor, and for the first time all evening, I felt uneasy in my own home. I tried to ignore it. I even turned off the lights, telling myself I'd deal with it in the morning. But sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that box under the tree untouched, waiting. When I finally went back downstairs, the clock read just after midnight. The house creaked with every step, each sound louder than it should have been. I knelt beside the gift, noticing details I'd missed before. The box was heavier than it looked, and there was no card, no handwriting to recognize, no clue who it was from or who it was meant for. That's when the thought hit me, cold and sharp, what if it wasn't meant to be opened at all? What if it wasn't a gift, but a message? A warning. Something someone wanted us to find, but not celebrate. I didn't open it right away. Instead, I sat there, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the faint tick of the clock, the distant sound of wind outside. Christmas night is supposed to feel safe, familiar. But in that moment, it felt like the calm before something broke. I realized then that some gifts aren't wrapped in paper and boughs. Some are wrapped in silence, in secrets, in consequences that arrive quietly and change everything once they're revealed. That box under the tree wasn't meant for joy. It wasn't meant for gratitude. And by morning, I would understand exactly why it had been left for us and why our family would never look at Christmas the same way again. Stay with me, because what was inside that last gift didn't just end our holiday, it uncovered a truth none of us were prepared to face. The house felt unusually quiet that Christmas night, the kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes every small sound feel too loud. Outside, snow rested gently on the lawn, glowing under the street light like a soft blanket meant to protect the world. Inside, the tree stood proudly in the corner, lights blinking slowly, gifts arranged neatly beneath it. We had finished dinner hours ago. Laughter had faded. Dishes were done. The warmth of family had slowly drifted into exhaustion. But something didn't feel complete. My wife sat on the couch, scrolling on her phone, pretending to smile. I noticed she kept glancing at the tree, her eyes stopping at one small box placed behind the others. It hadn't been there earlier. I was sure of it. The tag was blank. No name. No handwriting. Just red wrapping paper and a silver ribbon tied tightly. "Did you put that there?" I asked casually. She shook her head without looking up. Not me, a strange chill ran through me. The kids were already asleep upstairs. No one else had been in the house. I walked closer to the tree, crouched down, and lifted the box. It was heavier than it looked. Solid. Not like a toy. Not like clothes. Something about it made my hands tense. Maybe it's a joke, my wife said, though her voice didn't sound convinced. I placed it back under the tree, suddenly unsure if I even wanted to open it. Christmas was supposed to be safe. Predictable, warm. This felt like an interruption. Like a secret forcing its way into a night that didn't ask for it. Sleep didn't come easily. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that box sitting there quietly, waiting. Round to A. I finally gave up and went downstairs for water. The tree lights were still on. And the box was still there. But something was different. The ribbon was loose. Just slightly. As if someone had touched it. My heart began to race. I stood frozen, listening. The house was silent. No footsteps, no doors. I reached down and picked up the box again, my fingers brushing against the torn edge of the wrapping. Whatever was inside had sharp corners. My breath felt shallow as I carried it to the dining table. I didn't want to wake anyone. I don't know why. Maybe part of me wanted to face it alone. I slowly peeled the paper back. Inside was a smaller wooden box, old and scratched, the kind you'd expect to find in an attic. On the lid was a symbol burned into the wood. I recognized it instantly. My father's initials. He had died 5 years earlier. Suddenly, the room felt colder. My chest tightened as I opened the lid. Inside were photographs, old ones. My father standing with people I didn't know. A woman holding their baby. A baby that looked unsettlingly familiar. Under the photos was a folded letter, yellowed with age. My name was written on it in my father's handwriting. My hands shook as I unfolded it, my mind racing faster than my eyes could read. By morning, everything had changed. The sun rose, but it didn't bring comfort. My wife sat across from me at the kitchen table, the letter between us. She had read it twice already, tears silently falling onto the wood. The letter revealed a truth my father had carried to his grave. I had a half-brother. Born before my parents married. A child he never acknowledged publicly. A child who had grown up knowing who we were, watching from a distance. The last lines of the letter explained the gift. He knows now, my father had written. And he wants you to know him, my wife whispered, so this is from him, I nodded. The box wasn't meant to hurt us. It was meant to reveal us. The kids came downstairs soon after, excited, unaware. We smiled for them. Opened gifts. Took photos. But everything felt different. Like our family portrait now had an empty space we hadn't noticed before. I spent the day distracted, replaying memories, wondering how many moments in my life had been shared with a shadow watching from afar. Christmas songs played on the radio, but none of them felt real anymore. That evening, as the sky darkened again, the doorbell rang once. My heart pounded as I stood up. I already knew who it was. When I opened the door, a man stood there, hands buried in his coat pockets, eyes nervous but hopeful. He looked like me. Same jawline. Same eyes. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Snow fell softly between us, as if the world was holding its breath. "Merry Christmas," he said quietly. I stepped aside and let him in. Behind me, my wife watched, her hand over her mouth. This wasn't the Christmas gift we expected. It wasn't wrapped in joy or comfort. It came with pain, confusion, and unanswered questions. But as I looked at the man standing in my living room, I realized something important. Some gifts don't come to make us happy. They come to make us whole. And sometimes the ones meant for us arrive last, when we finally have the strength to open them. As the house slowly returned to silence, the Christmas light still blinking softly, as if nothing had happened, we stood there holding that final truth in our hands, realizing how close joy and sorrow can exist under the same roof. That last gift didn't just change our holiday, it changed how we saw each other, how we valued honesty, and how fragile family moments truly are. Some secrets wait for the perfect moment to surface, and sometimes they choose the worst possible time. But even then, what matters most is what we do after the truth is revealed, whether we let it break us or bring us closer together. If this story moved you, made you pause, or reminded you of someone you love, don't forget to like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more real emotional stories like this. Your support helps these stories reach the hearts they're meant for. Until next time, stay safe, cherish your loved ones. And remember, some gifts aren't wrapped in paper, but in lessons we never forget.